Hi, I'm Anthony.
I'm CJ.
I'm Gerry.
I'm Manny, and you're listening to Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad, the bilingual, multilingual Christmas podcast. Well, welcome,
Manny,
guys. Hey,
Manny, could I say, it's an honor to finally be on your show. I'm glad season 2, you have decided to invite me.
Same here.
And secondly, it is an honor to be in the presence of a Christmas clatter, Merry Melee underdog who somehow came up as a runner-up in this episode.
I will talk about my strategy one day when I actually find out what my strategy was right there. It was fun. They mentioned that they wanted that episode to be historic, and it's made history. I mean, your episode of the Melee is coming up now, and we're still talking about ours. So, hey,
yeah,
any publicity is good publicity, right?
It's gonna take a lot to beat the heat of ours, but we'll see what happens.
All right, hey guys, thank you for being here. Gerry is on another podcast. So, like I said last year, he's trying to be in the Guinness Book of Records, trying to be in as many podcasts as possible, and he probably is there. I lost count, halfway through last year. And
I've been
CJ,
on quite a few, yeah.
Yep. And CJ, thank you so much. The reason we're here, it's because of you. You came up with the idea and invited everybody to my show because basically it was kind of dead for a few months. So thank you.
I figure we had to spice it up, man.
Yep.
You legitimately haven't posted since like last Christmas.
Yeah, it's looking for those feels, and lately I've gotten it. And like I wrote today in the chat, even Disney Plus knows it because I turned it on to try to watch What If, and everything was suggesting was Christmas. So
they're watching us.
I'm just curious why you introduced Gerry as the only one of the three of us who had another podcast.
No, I haven't plugged or anything. I mean, you guys. This is obvious. If you're here, everybody knows who you are because the only reason I'm getting listened is because they came from your podcast or whatever mentions you guys give me. That's where my downloads come from. So, but if there's rarely anybody that don't know who these guys are, well, this is Anthony from Tis the podcast that actually invited me to do Christmas podcasting. Here's Gerry, like I said before, trying to set a world record for most podcast appearances. I heard you're branching out to non-Christmas as well.
I am. Yeah.
And then,
wait, you have another podcast now?
No. He's doing guest appearances. And here's CJ. The reason why we're here. CJ's from Christmas Conversations. I don't know. Are we friends, CJ? We're not friends. I mean, I don't know. We're like.
I think you're frenemies.
Yeah, something like that.
I think
I'll
you're
pick
friends.
on you a lot in Discord, but it's one of those situations where I can pick on you, but if anyone else does, I'll kick their ass.
He's like my big brother, but he's younger than me. So
he has literally said the same thing about me as well.
Hey, we got a bodyguard, Italian bodyguard, man. That's good.
Mm-hmm. I told you he's the enforcer.
Yeah, whatever.
So I may break some news here. Gerry and I may be starting our own non-Christmas podcast. I talked to you briefly about this.
Yeah.
Wait a second. What and why am I not involved? What's it about?
When that new Batman animated show starts coming out, The Caped Crusader, we're gonna cover each episode.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not interested, but thanks for asking. Are the lights on your hat blinking, Manny?
Yes, sir.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
God, I respect that so much.
They're already kind of fading away. Like the red ones are already fading away. I've been using this hat, I think, on every time I'm on a podcast.
That shows solid wear, and I can only appreciate it. For those that can't see him, obviously, he's wearing a Christmas hat that has Christmas lights on it, and there's a Christmas tree. It's I'm jealous. I like it. I can never pull it off, but Manny, you do okay.
And I have a scarf to go with it. I just don't know where it is. It's usually in that back corner over there. I moved it.
He also has a naughty or nice shirt on, and it's checked naughty.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks for telling. Great.
I think it's pretty obvious from anybody who listens. You're a naughty.
Coal for Christmas.
No, but it changes based on how I've been, and I guess right now it's a naughty. So, I'll try to do better for next time you guys see it. It'll be in the nice spot.
I mean, waiting to buy a turkey from your local Walmart on Christmas Eve is pretty naughty.
No, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to get COVID to walk in.
I was gonna say, don't forget with COVID.
Don't remind me of those Awful memories. Come on now.
They're awesome memories. That's one of the reasons, that we're here right now. I mean, of Totally Rad Christmas. Let's start out with Christmas in the 80s.
Ooh, fun.
Our 80s representative, Gerry. How was it Christmas in the 80s? What do you remember? What can you bring back,
Well, I was a kid in the 80s, so the thing that it was most was magical. And then, there were so many awesome IPs in the 80s. Thundercats, Voltron, Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Mask, Ninja Turtles. Like you name it, it was there. So the toys were awesome. Superpowers, we were talking Batman before we started. The Superpowers line was great. I got the Batmobile with Batman and Robin and the Joker one year. It was cool. I remember waking up.
Is that the one that came with Bob the Goon? Like the Batman 89 one?
No, this was the Superpowers line. So it was from the the early to mid 80s. It was the one that was done by Jack Kirby.
I know which one that is. Yeah, that's awesome.
So they're really cool. You would like squeeze the legs and the Batman would like punch, or something like that. And
Gosh, you know what you know which one I miss? Do you remember the Joker where if you wet his face, it turned to green?
Yep. I remember that.
I missed those.
That was from the 89 line. But I remember waking up and going to the tree and seeing Castle Grayskull under the tree. Like that was amazing. And then like the next year, I think it was a Voltron and like the Matchbox one. So it was like the die cast metal, not just a plastic one. It was like Santa was awesome those years. And then as I got older, the presents were still cool, but it just wasn't the same because that magic wasn't there. I remember trading cards. I remember Nintendo games. I remember, just being with my brothers and family, drinking Mexican hot chocolate, eating M&M cookies for breakfast. It was just amazing, man.
That's awesome. Anybody has any memories from the 80s? I have like very tiny. I remember Flintstones, the Jetsons, when we were opening
the Jetsons,
the Jetsons when we were opening the Christmas specials from Flintstones, the Jetsons.
You almost made me spit out my tea.
And George Jetson.
I used to watch it in Spanish back then, so it was Los Pica Piedra y Los
Supersónicos. Los Jetsons.
Yeah, I realized what their names were like in 92, 93, how to pronounce it, because before then I didn't know any English. So I just watched everything in Spanish, but it was great. Like the Christmas feels, opening presents in the morning, watching those shows. And I think they show the same ones every single year. But that's basically what I remember, apart from Back to the Future and, some Batman here and there. I don't remember that much of the 80s.
What year were you born in, Manny?
85.
I remember, well, I was born in September 1989, so I don't have any memories of the 80s.
Nope.
However, there is a picture from my very first Christmas. Apparently, just like nowadays, I never slept, and it drove my parents crazy. And a lot of times around the holiday season, the only way to shut me up was to lay me under the tree staring up at the lights. So there are pictures of me, wrapped up in blanket, in my pajamas or whatever, often Batman onesies.
Nice.
Just staring up, mesmerized by the Christmas tree lights. And, I still am nowadays. So that's
why you have a Christmas podcast.
Yep, exactly.
I think Christmas of 89, I won't get into it because I talk about it on this month's podcast. They're not the greatest of memories because my early Christmases were marred by like, just not to get too negative, where when Christmas comes around, it's stressful. Parents that aren't really clicking anyway. If you add alcohol into the mix, there was just the 80s, the end of the 80s for me were not great. But from what I remember, like we'd go to my grandmother's and there would be presents upon presents upon presents. And
nice.
I don't know, because I would have been like, 4? So I had that one memory that I shared. You guys can listen. You'll listen to it and be shocked, but trust me, I'm over it. But I do remember going to my grandmother's in those late 80s, maybe early 90s, and she had like separate rooms and she had a special room with all her Christmas stuff. And I just remember there being presents upon presents and we'd all sit around in a circle. And I just remember when you're a kid, you're just sitting around and you remember things in flashes. And I just remember everybody laughing. It was always like Christmas was always a fun time. So that's
cool.
I don't remember much about the late 80s, but I remember that. I just remember all the presents and feeling like they were mountains in front of me. And it was, fleeting memories, you'd call them, I guess.
I'm glad you brought up that, because that is one thing we always did. We always went to my grandma's house on Christmas morning. So it was cool because I got to see, like, in the 80s, I got to see almost all my cousins, all my aunts and uncles were there on my mom's side and my dad's side when we'd go to that one, because they both lived in a town about an hour north of us, a tiny little town. And so we'd go to one, we'd spend the morning there, then we go to the others, spend the afternoon there, and then we'd usually go back to say bye to the first one, and then we'd go home. So we really didn't get to play with our presents Christmas morning because we didn't want to go take them and to be an hour north of us and then like lose them there or something, accidentally leave it there. So it was kind of a bummer that we didn't get to play with our presents, but we got to see like all the family. And it was like towards the late 80s, the older kids, because my mom was the youngest of 6 sisters, and like her older sister is like, I think 10 to 15 years or something older than her. So our cousins are all older than us by a lot. And so we were the very youngest. They started getting married and doing their own things in the late 80s, early 90s. So I remember the mid 80s was just like everybody there, and it was really cool. We'd go into my grandma's house, and it wasn't a big house. It was a small house, but they'd have those tiny stockings, the ones that are only like 3 inches high or so. And she'd have those with our names written on them all along the ceiling. So it was just like ceiling, the entire room just covered with all the aunts and uncles and cousins' names and grandkids. And I mean, it was just one of those things that was really cool. Same thing, CJ, we'd see the tree and there would just be piles of presents, because back then, my aunt, who was a nurse, actually had a really good job working in a hospital. And so, I mean, she would buy presents for like every single grandkid and cousin. And I mean, I don't even want to know how much she spent, because I know it was like ridiculous amounts. But like, that's my earliest, like some of my earliest memories, so it's just, we'd see everybody, we'd have turkey and ham and tamales, of course, because we're Hispanic, and rice, even though there'd be like traditional stuffing and stuff, we'd also have, of course, you got to have Mexican rice and tortillas, because it's, even though there's rolls and Hawaiian rolls or whatever, you got to have tortillas. Menudo, there would usually be menudo out as well. And I mean, it was one of those things. And then Watergate salad and all sorts of desserts all over the place. And it was just a great time. And then we'd go to my other grandma's house, and all my cousins would be there, and they were closer to our age because my dad was the oldest of that family. And so we got to play with them for a long period of time. And I mean, it was really cool. That's like one of the greatest things. So I'm glad you brought up going to grandma's house.
One question, because I have no idea what it is. What is Watergate salad?
Okay, so it's like a pistachio pudding with pineapple chunks, marshmallows, and of course actual pistachios in there as well. I think there's another kind of nut, and some whipped cream, and it's all like, whipped cream, and it's all kind of mixed together and chilled, and then you eat it. It's actually really delicious. Yeah. Even though when you look at it, you're like, I don't know about this thing.
So it has nothing to do with Watergate.
Time in the 70s, a reporter from Chicago just started calling it Watergate salad, and the name kind of stuck.
Oh, gotcha.
So I don't know why.
I didn't know.
It's delicious.
So I have comparable family Christmas stories and memories to tell once we switch to the 90s. Because right now what's the size of a baby's brain? Like a peanut or something? I don't know.
About the same as yours still is, Anthony. So you're all right.
Wait till I get to judge you in a melee, CJ.
I'll never do it again.
I feel you. I've retired from
you, Gerry, and Julia are all in that
both,
category.
We're all retired.
Come to an understanding that sometimes we take things way too personally. And he should have won that friggin' Back to the Future question.
How did I not win that? That was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. Like, you could legitimately go back to the birth of Christ. How does that not win? But anyway, let's move past this question.
This section was brought to you by Christmas Clatter and Merry Melee.
And by what's the word I should use? Angry Incorporated or Bitter Incorporated.
Yep. But it's like,
and I thought I was the angry person within the Discord.
Well, you were.
I've kind of slowed down now. I don't want to upset anybody, so I
hear you.
I posted.
I remember when you joined the Discord and you said, "I can't wait to shake things up in here."
Little did I know
You did.
I just want everybody to be happy. I don't want them to look at me as a source of pain.
Imagine me and you do. I think about day and night. It's only right.
You kill me.
But it's like I remember that, but Christmas Eve was almost for our family almost a bigger thing.
Oh yeah.
Seconded here.
So like the whole day, my mom would be baking and getting things ready, and we would just be playing. You know, we couldn't control ourselves because Santa was coming. And then at around 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., we'd go to the early mass, and it was like a children's mass. So before mass started, they would have like a little pageant with the kids acting out the nativity story. And then mass would happen, and then we'd come home, and then some of our best friends, like my mom's best friends, would come over, and like the kids would go play, and we would just be so jazzed and hyper and wild. And you know, of course, we'd have more M&M cookies and all sorts of things like that. And then the grown-ups would like sit around and play like Trivial Pursuit or something, like, you know, something of that nature. But it was just like so cool, and it was like hard going to sleep that night. That's like what I remember most.
Yeah.
You know, in the 90s, when we get to the 90s, it was a lot easier to fall asleep. I was a teenager, you know, no big deal.
I know we're still in the 80s, but I'm gonna tell my story here. So
go for it. Go for it.
Wait, CJ, do you have anything 80s related?
Nope, just trauma. That's it.
Yep. Anthony, get on that 90s bus.
Okay, so let me tell you, my 90s childhoods, I saw both of my childhoods in your stories just now, both of you. So Christmas Eve is always a bigger deal in my family too. Christmas Eve is a huge deal for Italians, as I'm sure you know, CJ.
Yep.
Did y'all do the Feast of Seven Fishes?
My maternal grandparents did. I'm a picky eater, so they always had like sauces and gravies for me because I don't eat fish.
Am I not surprised, Anthony?
But we would Christmas Eve, so we would always go to, well, first of all, Christmas, so we had the advent calendars throughout leading up to Christmas Eve, you know, and with all this chocolates, the elves filled them on the night between November 30th and December 1st. The elves came and filled the advent calendar. But for December 24th, they always left like a present, not just chocolate. So that was really our first Christmas gift of the season, like a 24th, like just something stupid like a Beanie Baby or something, but it was always awesome, an action figure or something. I just remember being excited from the moment I woke up on the 24th to evening of the 25th. But you know, the 24th, I remember me and my sister spend the day watching Christmas movies until about 4 p.m. We'd go to the family mass at our local church. And I used to love that mass as a kid. I still love that mass as an adult because I think the children's nativity pageant is so funny now as an adult.
It's cute.
But I used to be in it like in those years. Like I played a shepherd a lot. I played the kings a lot. It was always fun.
You're oh gosh, why can't I remember his name? The kid from Charlie Brown.
Oh, Pigpen?
No. The Shermy. That's the name. Shermy. I wanted to say Shermy. You're Shermy. Yeah.
I'm Shermy.
Every year, always a shepherd.
I mean, Tom has that similar story to me. That there was just always, it was always like, okay, we cast our 6 main roles. Everyone else put them in shepherd garb.
Yeah. Shepherds or be wise man. You know, whatever.
Yep. So afterwards, oftentimes we would go to my maternal. It was my grandfather's brother, so my great uncle's house, my great aunt uncle's house.
Okay.
And it'd be mom's whole side of the family. And I remember it's just chaos, but like in the best way possible. Like mountains of gifts under the tree, tons of food, tons of drinks for the adults, games, Christmas carols blaring. It was awesome. All my cousins were there. And then when it came time to exchange gifts, like utter like mayhem. Like somebody would be the designated person under the tree passing out the gifts, but like there were so many of us, he would just fling them across the room. So gifts would be flying back and forth, paper would be everywhere. It was awesome.
Nice.
And I loved it. I mean, CJ, like you said, they did this Feast of the Seven Fishes because they were Italian, but for the kids, they had more. I wasn't a fish fan, so grandma always made her gravy and her sauce, and Which funny story. My dad claims to this day he once walked into the kitchen and grandma didn't know anyone was in there and saw her opening up a jar of ragu. And grandma's like, "You son of a bee, you never saw that."
That is unforgivable.
But anyway, so we would go home. Of course, leave out milk and cookies for Santa. Me and my sister would always leave like a letter or a drawing for him as well. You know,
That's
when you're
cool.
young, that's what you do.
Yeah.
But of course, then it would take forever to get to sleep.
Mhm.
And my parents had a rule: no waking us before 5:30. Which, now that I think about it, like, bless them for letting us wake up that early, because a lot of parents won't even do it that early.
Yeah.
Like, I think Julia won't let her kids get them out of bed till like 8 a.m., which I would have died.
That's
No
my
way.
time. My time's 8.
But I remember, like, I would always wake up. It would take me forever to fall asleep. I'd always usually wake up around like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I'd always sneak down the hall into my sister's room, because we always had it packed. Like, whoever woke up first would come to the other's room and wake them. And so for that last half an hour, or however long we're up before the appropriate time, we would just be like excited. Like, this was when we had a smaller house, and like, one long hallway, and at the end was the living room where the tree with the gifts were. But
so it was only 5,000 square feet.
but it was completely dark, so you couldn't see anything. But we'd always like, well, we know we're not allowed to go out there before morning with mom and dad, but if we have to use the bathroom, that's kind of at the end of the hallway. So we'd like, you know, I'd always try to go to the bathroom and like peek around that last corner to see what the pile of gifts looked like or whatever. It was awesome. And then of course 5:30 rolled around and we'd run into our parents' room, tell them to get up, get up, get up.
Yeah.
And of course we'd have to wait. Dad would say, like, wait here, let me go make sure Santa's not still here. And he'd go make coffee, let the dog out, then turn on all the lights, and then we'd come out and open gifts or whatever. And it was awesome. And usually Christmas Day was spent with Dad's side of the family. And the rule, and it's still the rule to this day, is whoever has the youngest kids, that's who would host Christmas. So that the youngest kids could be home with their toys and everything from Santa. Like you said, Gerry, kind of sucked leaving your toys.
Yeah.
So whoever had the youngest kids would host. So they had all their stuff,
a good rule.
which I thought was pretty cool.
That is a cool rule. Yeah.
For a few years, it was always us. It's just awesome. And I'll never forget, in the 90s, one of my favorite gifts was going down to our playroom, and Santa had set up a complete Jurassic Park, like the compound, electric fences, like everything filled with dinosaurs. You had the RVs, you had Dr. Allengrand and Ellie Sattler and Ian Malcolm all there. Like,
I gotta find a way to do those.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like by far one of the best gifts I ever got. But of course, I remember one year I got the Batmobile, the Batman Returns one, where it goes down the alley. So you push the button and the fins come off, and it like turns into the missile. Like,
I built that out of Legos.
So the toy was awesome. I loved it, but like, you know what toys were like back in the day. After so many uses, like, the sides would never actually stay on. So like, I'm like, you know, zooming the Batmobile around the living room, and then like, without meaning to, one side will fall off, or, you know, it was awesome. Like, there's a reason I started a Christmas podcast now and obsessed with Christmas now. My parents always made it special. My family's always made it special. And they're some of my best memories from childhood. They're still some of my best memories every year now. Like, Christmas, it's still special. So.
Well, real quick before we go back to before you hit the 90s like hardcore, I know what you're talking about with the 80s. I was the one that would wake up earliest, and I would go wake up my brothers, and then we'd go to the living room. We just kind of take a peek, and and it was always same thing about 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and then we'd go wake up our parents. Now they never had a rule about what time, so it was just whenever they're up. All right, let's do this.
So if you woke up at like 3 o'clock, you could get them out of bed.
Yeah, but we never woke up at 3 o'clock. But it was like 4:30 or 5, and so I'd go wake them up like, hey, Santa's here, Santa. Usually I'd run first and go kind of check, peek myself, and then I'd go wake them up.
There was always like, I remember too, we didn't have a chimney, so we always, when we went to bed, we always left the front door unlocked. I'm sure they locked it the moment we went to bed, because CJ knows this. It was Newburgh. You don't leave your front door unlocked in Newburgh. but and then I always loved, it's always funny to me in retrospect now, going down and you see like the cookies and milk gone, and there's always like crumbs of one cookie left, but like also like a half-eaten carrot. And now as an adult, I'm wondering, like, why did I never question like Santa brought down like the half-eaten carrot that the reindeer didn't eat and just left it on the plate?
Proof. He wants to show you, look, I'm real. My reindeer
Either
ate your
that,
food. Thank you.
either that, or he's jerky Santa Claus from Rudolph, and he also ate the vegetables and didn't give anything to the reindeer.
Well, you know, you're eating all those cookies. You gotta temper all that sugar with something. But
CJ, what do you have? You know, building up from the 80s. I know, you know, it came from a hard time. There has to be some transition there in you that has you now, you know, having a Christmas podcast. You know, I know you have your kids. You know, once you have kids, you know, things change. How was your 90s? Was it better than the 80s?
Well, it's funny because when you talk about the 80s, that stuff works in a funny way. I always love Christmas. I was always excited for it. But when stuff like that happens, especially like with incidences on Christmas Eve, you can go one way. You can be like, I hate this, or I'm going to learn from this. So like my thing was, I'm never going to let this happen when I get older. So like it never curbed my love of Christmas. But as we moved on to the 90s, my mom and dad separated. She kind of, you know, figured it out for herself. But my grandma was still pretty much like the person taking care of us essentially. But my mom still did her thing. Like she tried really hard, but they weren't the biggest Christmases, man, but they were good. Some of my traditions include my sister and I, every Christmas, it was kind of like Anthony said, I would sleep in her room one Christmas and then she would sleep in mine, and we'd switch and we would share the bed. And before we went to bed, we'd like tell Christmas stories or wonder what we're going to get the next morning.
That's cool.
And so that was always fun. But as we got a bit older, it always just I ended up just sleeping in her room because that's what she wanted, because she didn't want to sleep in my small bed anymore because she got a bigger one. So that was one of our traditions. I remember one of the Christmases in the 90s, like my mom had met my stepdad, and I haven't even shared this on my podcast, but I will eventually. It's probably my top 3 Christmas memories. We didn't get along like stepdads and kids do. I just didn't give him the time of day. I just didn't care. I didn't want to talk to him. So I remember I woke up one Christmas morning. It was super early, and it was like 5:30 in the morning, and it was just me. So I went out, just, you know, let's take the peek. And the fire was going, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I looked around the corner and I could see my stepdad. He was like kind of laying beside the fire and just stoking it with the stoker, whatever you call it. I don't know.
Poker.
Yeah, the poker. And
Joker.
Yeah.
Midnight.
And
Toker.
I was like, oh God, he's gonna tell me to go back to bed. I was like, I hate this guy. But he like waved me over and he's like, you want to try? And he's like, but be careful. So he let me lay beside him. And like he was showing me where to poke it and how to get the best flame and all this stuff. And we laid there and we were poking the fire. We put more wood in, and he pulled up 2 chairs beside the fire, and we just started talking. And that was really our ice break moment where we kind of started getting along. Not like the best, but it was really breaking of the ice between me and him to like set our relationship off to a different course. So that's always one of my favorite memories, just hit me and him sitting around the fire Christmas morning.
That's awesome, dude. That's
that's super cool story.
Yeah, no. And I still, if you would have told me at that age that I would go to his place, he loved his darts, I love darts, and we play. So there's some Fridays, we haven't done it since the pandemic, but we're going to do it soon because we're both fully vaccinated. Because he's older, he's a diabetic. But if you would have told me at that age I'd be playing darts with my father-in-law, or not my father-in-law, my stepdad.
Your stepfather.
Yeah, my stepfather. At the age of 35, I would have said, you're crazy. Like, I'd rather be doing other things on a Friday or Saturday. So that was one of our memories. But other 90s memories, like Gerry said, we go to my grandma's, and then we started going to my aunt and uncle's. And when you're kids, man, there's nothing like it. I remember mid-90s Power Rangers. My grandma would always give me and my cousin Otello gifts at the same time because we always love the same stuff. So we'd be ripping open our presents, and I'd be looking at his and he'd be looking at mine. We wouldn't even be looking at, because we didn't. And I remember one time we got the Power Rangers, the Morphers, and they came with all the coins in it. And I remember with the gun that they had, and we got all the same toys. And oh my God, we were like It was like we felt like we were rich. Like we played with our Power Rangers, and it was the ones that you could put together and make what was the name of it
Megazord?
now? Yeah, Megazord. There you go.
Oh yeah.
And man, those were great times when and we would always have fun. Like we'd see each other and you'd show up in a new outfit. Oh, what did you get? Oh, I got this. What'd you get? Oh man, that's awesome. Blah, blah, blah. So me and my cousin were really tight. We were like brothers. So
Nice.
I have a question for you, CJ.
Sure.
Just real quick before we get too far from that. Did you like the newest Power Rangers movie with Walter White and Elizabeth Banks?
never watched it.
Walter
Never watched
White.
it. No. I
I didn't watch it either. Yeah.
no,
I'll tell you this, it wasn't that bad. And I know they're rebooting it again, but like,
Yeah.
you know how Suicide Squad kept the parts that worked, the actors who worked? I wish they would keep Bryan Cranston and Elizabeth Banks because they were awesome.
Yeah, I loved it when I was a kid, but like I just didn't really have much interest in watching it now. But other than that, like, sorry, go ahead.
I'll just say, the little kid in you would have, the little kid in me, like I was sitting there like, oh, what is this? Most of the time, but then like when they get into those Zords right before the final battle and the '90s theme blares as they're running across the desert, like
Yeah.
go Power! I was like, yes.
Man, remember as a kid, like you were convinced you could beat the crap out of a putty. You're like, oh my god, these guys are such wimps. But under that, they were probably like actual like karate gymnasts.
Yo, I used to love Ivan Ooze.
Yeah,
He was from the movie, right?
I always thought he was the same guy, Al Lewis, who played Grandpa Munster, because he looks exactly like him. Like if you Google a picture of Ivan Ooze, he looks like
he really
Grandpa
does.
Munster.
But it was it wasn't Brian Cox, was it?
No, could you imagine if that was Brian?
That's why I was like, okay, that's not right. I was trying to think of who it was. I can't remember. But it's funny.
Finish off.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to finish my story.
No,
but yeah,
go finish your story. It's better than what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
no,
talk about Power
I'm sorry
Rangers.
about that, CJ. Seriously.
Go
No,
to
go
hell,
for it.
both of you. Okay, pal?
No, I was being serious, but okay, fine. That's
I was
cool.
joking. I don't care.
I know,
No,
man. I
just-
know. I was
so-
playing up
Hey.
the joke. Never mind.
Just other things that we would do. My mom would always do this cool thing on Christmas Eve. We didn't have like a lot of money then, so like we didn't get a tree normally till the 23rd or 24th because they would be slashed in price, and we'd always get a real tree. So on Christmas Eve, my mom would buy all these kind of like finger foods and
Nice.
just everything you can name, like sausage rolls, just like all these Canadian munja cake kind of things. Like sausage.
Did you get
roll.
Newfie steak?
No, like later on in life we got Jig's dinner and stuff like that, where it was like what salted beef, where it's like 1,500 milligrams of sodium per square inch. But no, like yeah, we just get finger foods, and we would decorate the tree and listen to like Dolly and Kenny Christmas, and we would eat at these finger foods and decorate on Christmas Eve, and then the tree
That's
would be
cool.
up and
That's
ready for
super
Santa.
traditional. Yeah.
You know, so like I mean, like coming from not having a lot, like we did make it work. So later on, like things got settled a little bit, like as I got older and I could do my own things, but that was more into the 2000s. But you know what, for what little we had, man, we had fun. We made it happen. My grandmother made it happen for us. She was kind of, I guess, our Santa Claus on top of Santa Claus, like, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
those were our traditions. And I'm trying to think of some more, but yeah, just that one story I haven't shared yet. I'll share on my podcast, but that was a cool memory between me and my stepdad. I'll always hold that close. It's always close to my heart. And around Christmas, I always think about it. And it still makes me emotional when I think about it, especially near Christmas, because you never know, time is limited and you don't know how long people are going to be around or if you're going to be around. So
Yeah.
every Christmas, I always make sure he knows how much that memory meant to me. And he's my dad. He's my dad. He's not a stepdad. He's my dad. So
Right
I
on.
let him know that every year. So yeah, that's pretty much my 90s. And I mean, I got the Batman stuff too. I remember Batman Returns, man. I got the
That stuff was
Batmobile,
huge. Yeah.
that split, and then you just
Which
had
is
the
funny
middle.
because isn't that like weren't parents like that's why they went lighter with the next one, right? Because it was so dark. They were like, you're selling toys with this dark movie to like kids.
Yeah.
It was a lot darker. Yeah.
I didn't view it as that dark, and then you watch it now and you're like, okay, Cobblepot is pressing a pin on a woman's breast. This is awkward.
Let me show you the French flipper trick.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, there was a lot that was it was dark, but especially like Catwoman being murdered, and or quote unquote being murdered. And
Right.
By Christopher Walken. And yeah, but yeah, as a kid, you don't take everything so literally. You just look at it as fantasy, I find. But
Yeah, so yeah, I completely agree. The 90s
Yeah.
were pretty different for me because I started getting, I was a teenager. And so I remember while I was still super excited for Christmas, I mean, it's always been my favorite holiday. And I've always enjoyed the Christmas caroling. That's when we really started caroling a lot more. And so we would go around the neighborhoods to like, just most of our friends and just knock on their doors, and we would just sing like 3 or 4 carols, and then we go to the next one. And sometimes they'd invite us in for like cider or hot chocolate or just something tasty, and I mean, it was really cool. But I also remember it was a lot harder for me to wake up Christmas morning.
Really?
Teenagers in general just sleep later because their sleep cycle kind of shifts a bit. So my brothers would be the one that normally would wake me up then during that time. But I mean, it was cool. I remember getting like a Sega Genesis, the 32X, a bunch of, it was mostly like video game, sports kind of stuff and less toys, which was always kind of kind of a bummer. But
Isn't that funny though? Like now as adults, we get all the toys again because we're such geeks
Yeah.
and our wives know what to get us.
It's funny
That is-
how we look out and we look for the toys that we had now as kids. It kind of just comes full circle. And
Well, it's so funny because my mom has this joke that as a kid during Christmases, my dad would set up all the toys that needed setting up, as dads do. But he would, like, for example, like, remember the old racetracks where you had the brushes on the bottom of the cars and they had to be aligned to like move with the remote control? Like, he would spend like an hour, quote unquote, testing them out himself. So my mother would be like, would you let the kids play with their toys? Because he would, like, under the guise of testing them out, be the first ones playing with them.
Yeah.
The key to keep those on the track is ease up on the corners, because if you hit a corner going fast, you were flipping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Well, I have one of those tracks, a Super Mario track. I still have it in the box.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yep. I mean, I'm gonna cut in real quick in here. Just by what Anthony just said, I'm at work and I usually have a bunch of, toys laying around and stuff like that. And they asked me, like, how old are you? I'm older than half of these, engineers that are just graduating college and, just coming into the industry. And they wonder why I have all that stuff. And I'm like, because that's the stuff that I liked as a kid. And there was a time in my life where I lost that completely. Like, I was thinking I was just a grown-up. So you're a grown-up, you just do grown-up stuff. And when I realized that, well, I have grown-up money, I could buy kid stuff as long as I take care of everything. Once I got my head, that I have to do all the grown-up stuff, I'll go and get the stuff that I had as a kid or things that I never could have, just because my parents, they either couldn't buy it or it was sold out. There was a lot of these things, that they were the it toy and I couldn't get it back then. Just like I got my Turbo Man like a week ago. And they're like, why did you do that? I'm like, because
it's turbo time.
It's turbo time. You can't lose the essence of a kid. I mean, I still don't have kids, but those of you that do, if you still have that now, you understand what, where they're coming from, how they're feeling, and not just get lost in being a grown-up. So I'm like, I could be a grown-up, do all this grown-up stuff, have a real grown-up job, but have my video games. Like I have all these little, I don't know where my real Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 went. I moved a lot, so I don't know. One of those moves, like I guess I lost it. But I have the little mini classic consoles. I have my PlayStation. I love video games. I'm blessed to have a wife that she backs that up. We have everything Nintendo around the house.
Lets you spend $148 for Gremlins.
Yeah, it was actually her fault because she kept getting stuff also from the shelves. We have a huge Christmas village. I don't know what we're gonna do.
I've been admiring this. I wanted to ask you because I have PS5 too. So I see behind you have your controller. Did you get a gray shell for your white controller there? The gray.
No, that's Miles Morales holding it.
Oh, because it looks
Miles Morales.
No, it looks funny. Like it's actually gray on the. Let me see the controller.
This is rubber. My wife works at Marshall's.
Oh, okay,
so every time she finds it's a rubber, but I collect. I'm just showing CJ and the guys my PS5
I got that one too.
controllers.
Yeah.
I have
the red and the black one.
Yeah,
I traded in my whites.
Too.
Yeah.
So I have 2 whites, a red and a black, and like this is what I'm explaining, just for visual purposes.
Yeah.
My cousin got this for my birthday, It's a Miles
Cool.
Morales figure to hold my controller. Just
But-
because my
The
family
gray with
knows.
the white looks really sharp on the controller.
You
Yeah, it
must be
does.
psyched, Manny, for the new Spider-Man 2 game coming out
Oh,
for the
yeah.
PS5.
I am, but you know the
That
funny thing is,
looks
I want to.
amazing.
I'm gonna buy the disc version and not use it. It's just like I did the other Spider-Man game.
No,
I don't have time to
And not
to be
use it.
bad at
Did-
other games, so I
did
just
you
buy them
see
just
that
for
they
collection.
announced a Wolverine game too?
Oh
I saw
yes.
that. I saw that.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I'm ready.
I need to track down a PS5, man.
Santa brought one for Christmas for us last year. but
God
Nice.
darn it. Gosh darn it.
Santa got one on opening day.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you the same thing
That's
I told
cool.
Manny. If you find one, I will Venmo you.
Anybody out there that offer? Is that for everybody also, Anthony?
Trustworthy
I
folks.
need yeah, trustworthy folks.
Trustworthy folks.
There was something I wanted to ask.
I know
you, Gerry,
scalpers.
about.
I
the
mean,
char-
if you could get one from a scalper, I'll pay you if you get it and show me the physical copy.
I was a scalper once. I don't support that anymore.
oh god,
This guy.
My friend's a scalper too, so I get it. And I'm not buying from him and his jacked up prices.
So the only thing that I remember from Christmas in the 90s is the thing I remember most is that's when I first started White Elephant gifts.
oh
and
yeah.
it's also when I first started hosting Christmas parties in high school. So my group of friends and we'd all have like, because it was about 15 of us that would all hang out together, guys and girls, and we would just have our own little Christmas parties. So that was like really cool. But
Ooh,
they
a
would do,
guys
like
and
the
girls
eggnog?
party.
Did you spike the punch?
But you know, it was it was fun because we do white elephant gifts, and I'd never heard of it in the 80s, but like for some reason in the 90s they exploded. And that's when at one of them was CJ was when I brought those the pair of dice that we
The
talked
worst
about
gift
on-
ever.
that was my gift. My contribution was a pair of dice.
That is actually horrible. I wanted to ask you though, Gerry, about the caroling, because like I never
Yeah.
did it. I always wanted to.
Mhm.
How did that go? Like, did you ever get nervous before you knocked on a door? Were you worried about how you'd be received, or?
When we first started, yes, I was. My parents had done it before, and they kind of stopped when we were little. But then as we started getting a little bit older, we got back into it, and so they were fine with it. I always was though. I don't know. I never really liked performing in front of people, even though I did, but I did because I was told to. So I just did, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I'm not going to say no to a Hispanic mom. She'll like beat me with her chancla or something.
Yeah, that's the same for an Italian.
So it was like, you know, I did. Yes, mom, I'll sing. So I remembered like and I was the one that always had to go up and ring the doorbell because I was the oldest.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay. So I
Wait,
usually stood
so I have a
closest to the
question. What
door.
was your favorite song to carol on these outings?
Let's see. Normally, I think I like Jingle Bells most back then. I wouldn't go
many.
karaoke. I wouldn't karaoke to it, but but I think I like singing it best. Later on, as we got older, we would do like "Oh Holy Night," and we would break
I was
into
about
like
to say, oh,
we'd break
Holy
into like
Night, I love
3-part
that
harmony. My brothers and I would do the harmonies, and it was great. But when we were little, it was definitely Jingle Bells. I hated like the slower ones, like Silent Night, you know, things like that.
Silent Night is my favorite Christmas song.
Oh, it's one of mine now too. I used to sing it as a lullaby to my son when he was
Yeah.
born, and so now it's
I'll-
like one of my all-time favorites.
I'll
But at
say
the
this about
time,
Oh Holy Night.
that's a good one too.
Todd and Kim better hope now that neither of them come at me in the tie-breaking round on the melee.
Uh-oh.
I love how Anthony keeps trying to give us these little nudges about how good his answer
I
is.
know.
First of all, I know
was thinking that
Jerry's
too.
not judging.
I have knockout
Yep.
knockout points to give out. So
Oh, well, that changes my calculation. I'm also
I'm
trying to
good with
sway public
calculation.
opinion.
I'm very good with calculation.
You would know where
yeah.
that's from.
Well, you know, we're just talking Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like what I remember, going to White Elephant parties and getting like randomest gifts ever. But yeah, I think my favorite memory is giving a pair of dice.
So was there any games there? Did you guys play like spin the candy cane or what?
My memory's a little hazy, so that's where I'm gonna
His memory's
stop.
hazy.
It's
Tasting
just
earshot right
hazy
now.
memory. I don't remember.
I remember we went to one Christmas party in the 90s for school and we did play like spin the bottle. It was pretty interesting. I don't even know how we used to do that stuff, man. What was wrong with us?
I remember there was one naughty Christmas
You
party
think
I went
about it,
to
it's, like,
during
super
university,
creepy.
where everyone had to go in like Christmas themed underwear.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
Do you ever play that game? What is it? Where it's called like 7 minutes.
7 minutes in heaven.
Or
No,
remember-
that game always skewed me out because imagine just like
Yeah,
making out with a random girl for 7 minutes and then the bottle happened again and you had to go make out with the same girl. The same next
No,
guy
I'll
to
tell
make
you
out with the same
exactly
girl.
what happened probably 85% of the time because anytime it happened to us, we would get in the closet and we would
Yeah.
say like, yeah, let's just not and let's
Yeah,
just say we did and like let's
that's
just
exactly
talk,
right. Yep.
pretty much like you just sit there and talk with your hands in your pocket and just like do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember one time ever.
I do remember a lot of those. You're right.
Yeah, but I do remember with spin the bottle, you would go up and it would be like a quick kiss and like it was fun, but it's really sketch. All these kids that have been your friends since like forever, and then all of a sudden it's like whatever. Like,
It's just like I'll never forget, like, you know, when puberty hits and all of a sudden you look at a girl who's been like your best friend since elementary school a different way, like
You're
it's
like,
always an
"Hey, girl,
awkward
what's up?"
moment.
Yeah. there was like one girl like I always had like a crush on, and it was like grade 4. I got my mom to take me to the mall and I want to get her a bracelet made. So he
Nice.
made her like a bracelet, and I mean, I guess you date the way you date in grade 4, 5, 6. You hold hands and you walk around like recess.
Yeah.
But we still talk here and there. Like she was one of my best friends, and we would walk to school every single day. So like
That's cool.
we had gone to school together. Like we call it JK here. So junior kindergarten, then it goes to senior kindergarten, then grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And
Oh,
we went to
pre-K,
school.
kinder. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, we went to school every day from JK all the way to grade 12, so high school. And she met somebody, they got married, but we were good friends like our whole lives. And yeah, I miss those kind of friendships, but we're veering off of Christmas here to
We are. Yeah.
nostalgia.
To Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad. After.
Feliz Christmas.
Let
Merry
me
Navi,
ta-
Triple X.
Let me take it to my 90s. I like hearing all you guys' stories. And this is the prime example of what Christmas really is. Everybody has a different Christmas growing up. Everybody has, you know, different stories, and it builds character. Like CJ said, you could either hate it or, you know, make it better. And
Yeah.
I don't have a big family, but it was a very tight
It reminds me
family.
of something. Mhm.
In the 90s, well, my brother and my cousin were born in 89. So just I remember since they were born, you know, it was me and my cousin, then my brother and my brother and my other cousin. So it was 4 of us cousins, my grandma, my mom, my aunt, my stepdad. My stepdad has been in every Christmas since 90. So those were very special. I mean, my cousin and we're 1 year apart. We always had about the same dreams or the same story. I never to this day could say, well, it was fantasy or making it up, but we both saw something in the sky. We both heard the same noise. We could share the same story back and forth. And as grown-ups, I moved away from Puerto Rico when I was 18, but then, you know, every time we get together, we have the same story. Like we heard something. There was always something magical in it.
That's cool.
And it was funny because we never spent Christmas. I think it was only one Christmas that we spent in the same house. Other than that, you know, we were in my grandma's house till really late. And then we were at my grandma's house again really early the next day. It didn't make any sense, you know, going back home because we lived in other towns just to drive back. But it was magical. We always had the same thing. Then my little brother and my little cousin grew up. They kind of messed up that magic because they didn't see what we saw. Or I guess we just kept insisting and believing in that little Christmas magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like you said, it was, you know, Power Rangers, it was Nintendo, it was Ninja Turtles. I had a whole briefcase with like doubles and triples because I had so many Ninja Turtles action figures. And it's something that, I mean, it's funny. We go back to the 90s, it was really cool. And nowadays with all this technology and everything, we kind of lost that, you know, and we upload this, we could share this, you know, these audios with people. once they
Mhm.
hear the podcast, and they'll probably get transported back, because I'm just sitting here just listening to you guys, so like, wow, I could relate to all that. And I wish it's something that we got back. I don't think we ever will. The world's changing real fast, but we could cherish
Yeah.
these memories.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I moved around a lot, but somehow Christmas most of the time was always, the same feeling, the same food, that's freaking exciting, because that in Puerto Rico you can make that food any time of the year, but it's so special around, from Thanksgiving to January 6th, and then those 8 extra days after January 6th, where we keep extending Christmas. It's festive. When even from when you're little, we don't do caroling, we do parranda, which is the same thing. We go house to house, just singing, but the grown-ups keep getting drunker from one house one house to the other.
Gotcha.
It's very moved on music. We have instruments and stuff. You can dance
Sign me
to
up.
it. Yep. And I mean, that I think they still do. I mean, I still did it a few years ago before I moved back to the States
Christmas
again.
podcast host Caroline.
And
I told Todd that would be a good idea to do. Like, if we could all agree on a charity to each podcast host release like a song and do like a mini album, and we could just donate, like, put it up for like $1 on like some site for people to stream it, download it from, and then release it all to charity. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We would
That'd be
raise
cool.
a whole $85.
You know what? That's still more than our podcast donates to charity right now.
Yeah, that's
Touche.
true.
Touche.
Manny,
listen-
I just wanted to say what you were saying. It's kind of, I think we relate to it on a different level, but
Yeah.
you're talking about we're always trying to get that feeling of childhood Christmas back, and I think it's this unattainable thing, and we try to find it every year, and I think sometimes we might even just upset ourselves because we want to have that feeling again, and when we don't have it, it's like you overplan or you try too hard, and then it's like Christmas always just falls short because you're always trying to chase
You're
that
Clark
feeling.
Griswolding it.
I think that's why for a lot of adults, Christmas Eve is kind of the pinnacle, whereas Christmas Day is kind of like coming down from a sugar rush. Like it, it's like by the time night rolls around Christmas Day, instead of being that bask-filled glow you had as a child, it's kind of like, oh wow, it's over already.
Yeah.
And
Christmas
I think
night
that's
is
probably
depressing.
that's probably why we all love our Christmas podcasts and take so much joy in it. We're trying to capture that feeling of childhood again. Like, I mean, I know that's one of the things, like, watching Christmas movies every year for Disney podcasts, like, it makes the excitement for Christmas that much more. And like, anyway.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And finding like-minded people and knowing that they're out there at the level that you're at, and sometimes even more, it's comforting. So you take what you can get.
We've all said it. All said it, but like, you guys are like, I'm closer to you guys nowadays and like people in real life. I really am.
Yep, agree.
I do wonder that sometimes, like when I'll be driving and I'm like, man, I really like I'll have a conversation with Gerry, or I'll talk to Anthony, or like even like Manny, like we joke around, but like I'm like, I wish these people live closer, but like,
I know, right? It would be so much
like
fun.
then I look at the
out,
flip side, I'm like, are we
barbecue.
that close because we don't have that human interaction where we get sick of each other? Like, I don't you know what I mean?
I think one of these years we really all need to do some kind of meetup. We
I
really
want
do.
to. I'm ready for it, and I'm ready to travel. Like,
it's
go
hard
wherever.
with COVID and
It's hard with COVID and kids and
bills.
jobs.
Yeah,
and
but it would be cool.
it would have to be like in the middle of the summer because the holiday season we're also busy, especially you guys with kids.
It's
Mm.
got to
And
be
you,
at some
Gerry,
kind
with
of
work.
Christmas con, like a Hallmark con, or like some kind of Christmas con where people would be going. You know what I mean? Like,
Can you imagine if like all of us that were on Discord, like all the Christmas podcast hosts, had like our own panel at like one of those? You know, just us. You know, not any of like bigger ones like Deck the Hallmark or anything. Like literally just us Christmas guys. You know,
we could actually
Christmas and Christmas class.
we're like
it happen.
Conversation.
No, we could make it happen, but like, we're obscure, but you would have the random people be like, hey, I listen to your podcast. How are you? You'd be like, hey man, thanks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Want me to sign something? No, I'm good.
I know it'll never happen because, like, again, Gerry, your busy time is Christmas, and just Christmas is hard for people to travel in general with kids, especially. But And this is kind of me segging into the next bit, Manny, but how amazing would it be to meet up in New York City for Christmas time at Rockefeller Center, get the Christmas podcast family picture in front of the
picture. Oh, that'd be
in front
so
of the
cool.
tree? That would be amazing.
In front of the tree and the thousands and thousands of other random people around you.
I
mean,
know,
you
but
just
if
say-
you got us all together in a group like that and took, that would be special.
That would be
It would
super
be really
special.
special.
I would. That's like a picture I would.
That's
put up
like
in
we
my
all
house.
pitch in and like hire a professional photographer to take our
I mean,
picture.
they spoiler
Yeah.
alert, they have those around the tree. So if you
Yeah.
don't want, if you
Cool.
want to pay more than just like taking a selfie on your phone, you can get a really nice picture.
You know what? I actually want to enjoy Christmas in New York. I tried it 2 years ago. I spent that in my dad's house. You know, I mean, no offense or offense, whatever. But I want to actually have like that magical Christmas in New York. Like when I went out with my
Eddie,
wife and my
crack me
little
up.
brother, it was awesome. In the house, we got there on Christmas Eve. I mean, it was fun. It was like a lot of food. It was like a party and everything. Then the next day, it was the 25th, and it was like dead. Like I wasn't like, and instead of going to Times
You
Square,
need Chinese food?
oh heck yeah, not on Christmas Day though.
Oh,
And
That's
then
called Jewish Christmas in New York.
I mean, I don't care what type of, Christmas. I want to enjoy anything that has to do with that, but with the actual Christmas feels. Because even I was outside on the 31st, and I was just making my way back home because I didn't even want to be out in Times Square or anywhere where there was people. So it wasn't the best example of Christmas in New York. So if you were looking for recommendations, I would tell you not to go. But I know it's magical. I mean, I've had it before when I was little.
Fight him, Anthony. Fight him.
I am ready to fight
No,
you.
no, no. I'm not saying it offended. That's by my experience. I've had one great Christmas in New York and one not so.
Well,
great.
Manny, 2 years ago, you also knew me. How come you didn't shoot me a message and say, "Hey, man,
snap.
like I could have like showed you the true Christmas in New York"?
Because all my plans went kind of like.
Well, there's exactly why your Christmas in New York sucked.
But I'm willing to give it. I'm a person of opportunities and optimism, so I'm willing to give it another shot because I know it's out there.
Okay.
There can't
Well,
be millions and millions
throw-
of people, saying there is, and me just going like, no, there isn't. Yeah, I know it.
I'm gonna throw this out there for Manny, for Gerry, for CJ, Tom, Julia, Todd, April, Charlene. All the regulars in our network. If anyone wants to come to New York around Christmas time, free place to stay, free tour New York around Christmas. So
My thing
Nice.
is, I like my own space. Like when I go visit people, I can't stay at their home. I'm
the same way. So that's
Yeah,
even better. That's even
Yeah.
better. Get a hotel room,
Yeah.
and then we'll
Don't
meet
stay
in the
with me.
morning.
Yeah.
We'll meet in the morning, and I will show
you
you.
can stay with me, but don't stay with me. No.
I mean,
Just
I
being
had to be
cordial and
nice.
but anybody with half the sense would-
That's what changed with us. Like we stayed at my dad's house.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, wait, even though you're really welcome because it's my dad, I like right now would have preferred actually staying at a hotel, staying like closer to the city or whatever. But you learn from these experiences. So,
Gerry, does your store slow down like post December 25th?
It does, but usually not till like mid-January. Now, my
Because
section,
you basically have until January 6th until the tree comes down. So we could post something. We could do
Yeah.
something like the week between the 2
now,
weeks between.
my
That's another-
section slows down around like the second week of December because by that time most people have their lights already.
Yeah.
So it's usually at that point, then it's usually mostly we let go of like a lot of the seasonal guys, and it's just like us core guys there handling everything. And that's when we run through like a lot of like wreaths and garlands and like last minute decoration stuff. People who's believe it or not, who's just like in that movie with Christmas with the Cranks, whose people come home, suddenly and they need stuff. And like there was one installer I know that did extraordinarily well because the guy's daughter was coming home from college and he had nothing up, and on Christmas Eve they had to go out there and put everything up, and it was like a ridiculous amount of money they made that day.
Wow.
So,
Well, then I'm gonna put this out there, Gerry. Then that's the best time to visit. Then the week between Christmas and January 6th, those 2 weeks,
Yeah.
because the Christmas crowds are gone,
mhm,
but all that stuff is still up.
that's cool.
We can make it happen, Gerry.
Well, I
it's,
can
it's you.
try.
It's you. We would really need to work around because of your job.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, well, fortunately for me because I love it, but unfortunately for scheduling purposes.
I'm telling
So-
you, if we have a year to plan it, like maybe Christmas 2023, we all do like
Yeah.
a weekend, a long weekend. That's all we need for the Christmas
2023.
stuff.
I want 2022.
2022. I keep
Yeah.
thinking it's 2022. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas 2022. Yeah.
Here's another
Ah,
question.
That's actually a good
Gerry.
idea. Yeah, what's up?
A lot of other places like big box stores like Walmart and stuff that sell Christmas stuff, they'll always do like the big blowouts after. Now that you're an all year round Christmas store, do you guys do that or do you just save it for next Christmas?
A little bit of both. So
Is it
we
the stuff that
usually
doesn't sell you try to get rid of?
well that too, but I mean some of the newer stuff also we'll
Yeah.
usually have. So because we need space for the newer stuff, so we'll do, even if it's good selling stuff that we just still have a little bit of, we'll go ahead and do that, usually like 20% off first, then it goes to 30, and then the lowest I've ever seen it go is like 50%.
Oh.
We usually don't go more than that, but by that time it's just whatever's left.
That's my favorite part about, like, I'm a big Hallmark ornament collector. I know that Anthony is too.
Yeah, I love those.
Boxing Day they'll go down to 50% and you kind of decide which ones you want at that price, but then I think it's like just after New Year's they go to 75%. And that's when I really stock up on the ones that I was on the fence about. That's my favorite part about Christmas. I buy way too much stuff.
Well, I know what you mean. Now in March we usually do the sidewalk sale, and that's really cool because it's just like some of it is like really good stuff that might have just like the box might have been damaged, and so we, for insurance purposes we can't like open it or whatever, sell it at a certain price. So we'll try to just get rid of some stuff. Some of it is like it might be a resin piece with maybe a little crack in it or something, and so, or it might have been sitting out on the floor all season, but like you'll get like $700 items for like $100 or something. I mean, it goes down quite a bit, and it's fun because the store owner will just be like, all right, for the next 10 minutes, like with a bullphone, what it was, a bullhorn, for the next 10 minutes all ribbon is like $1, and then you just see like the swarms of ladies just like running towards the ribbon. I mean, it gets fun. Usually though I'm inside in the air, so that's nice.
Yeah. Like I like getting some wrapping paper after when it's on sale, because like I know a lot of families do this. Like when like we have our wrap, I have to whisper because I don't know if my girls are in here. We have our wrapping paper, then we have Santa's wrapping paper. So I always get Santa's wrapping paper because like I love to go the traditional old school style, like the very vintage looking one for Santa, and you can pick it up for a really good, because regularly it'll be like $15.99 because it's a specialty item. It's nice, and you'll get it for like 75% off. And I love doing the vintage style like Santa wrapping, man.
Santa never wrapped our presents. We always figured by the time he got to the valley, it was just, he was too tired or didn't have time but he never actually wrapped them. It'd always be, but our stockings were down from where they were, and they would always be full, and they would be placed unwrapped there in a pile with like some of our other presents. Like, so he like rearranged everything, and we knew it was from him because our stocking was there and it was unwrapped right next to it.
I always felt like I would have never liked that because all my stuff was wrapped. So like I would see it on movies where like they wake up and they instantly see what they got in front of them, I'm just like, oh, I want to like open it. You know what I mean? So I always did you like that, or is this just what you were used to? Because I love
all I've ever known.
presents.
So that's and to me that was normal. And then when I heard that it wasn't, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
my wife's family did that.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice.
My wife's family like laid them all out unwrapped from Santa in piles for the kids.
Yeah.
I was always wrapped, and I love tearing them apart.
That's because they're newfies, man. So by the time they got the presents, they were already too drunk to wrap them. So Newfoundland, I love you very much. My precious stepdad I talked about before, he's from Gander, Newfoundland. So I love all of them.
Tell him thank you for their service on 9/11.
Gander did? Gander?
Yeah, they were the ones who took all the stranded planes that
were
diverted.
Wow.
I just read about that. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yep.
We are recording this on 9/11, so that's why we're kind of fresh in our mind here.
Yeah, and thank all you assholes for not reaching out to the one New Yorker in the Discord today to see how he was feeling. I'm joking, guys.
Now he's got to. Hey man, he's got to edit that.
No, I'm just gonna leave it there. We have a New Yorker here, so
Yeah,
true spirit.
Hey,
you guys mentioned Hallmark. I was looking at the Hallmark stores nearby, and all the new stuff that just came out, and the Halloween stuff and everything is sold out.
Yeah.
Like
they've really been leaning into Halloween the past few years.
Yeah, but everything like Halloween and part of the Christmas stuff, you cannot do local pickups. And there's a bunch of these stores. I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm happy that I see that it's sold out. Kind of sad I can't buy some of the stuff because I took too long, but it's pretty cool like having it sold out.
A lot of places were low stock, but a lot of it is also, I mean, the pandemic is not over by any means, but you know, we've had like a full rollout of the vaccine. I think a lot of people are just ready to celebrate again, and they want to decorate and they want to feel normal again. So I think it's going to be a big year. Just because,
that's like us. I mean, we always buy enough like lighting supplies for 2 seasons, and we were sold out of almost everything before Thanksgiving. That's how crazy last year was. Yeah. So this year we went even bigger, but I have a feeling you're right, CJ. I think it's going to be very similar.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys, because I know CJ, you have a dog, but Gerry, you have one too, right? Or
I have
one?
I have a cat. Unfortunately.
3.
Okay. And Manny, do you?
I'm the dog.
Oh, hold on, Anthony. Before you do this, hold on. My little boy Casper, his birthday is actually today, September 11th. He turned 3. I'll post
happy
a picture.
birthday, Casper.
Happy birthday, Casper.
Yeah, Casper's 3.
So my question then, I guess, to you, CJ, this is my first year with the dog. He's a rambunctious puppy. How do you have tips for keeping him off the tree and the Christmas decorations?
Honestly, how old is he? He's about what, 8 months now?
He's about 9. He was born on Thanksgiving last year, so he'll be just over 1 year old.
I did have puppies. They were like right around Christmas, but I was lucky where they only played with it a bit. There are little fences you can get, but your best bet is just to train them away from it. So deter them with, even if you just keep them on a leash for a bit, if your tree is close to you, or just get an extra long leash, and every time they go near, just give them a little slight tug and say no, just so they have that. Because with training dogs, it's all about repetitive things, and trying to just get them to realize, oh, if I go there, this is going to happen. But you need to make that thing happen multiple times for it to click. So it's just repetitive, like no. I was lucky. My dogs didn't really do much to the tree. There was sometimes where they would bite on the ends of it. So I have like fake trees, artificial trees. So sometimes I would notice there was little bites on the end, and it would be stripped of the little
of the PVC.
It looks like purple. No, it looks like green. What does he say? Christmas story. It looks like green pipe cleaner. No, but it was like all stripped. So like I had to cut those parts off and kind of hope to God they didn't chew on a cord or whatever.
Okay, so that's good advice. But my dog he's a puppy, and he's also like a lot bigger than I thought he'd be, considering I live in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
He's pretty big, and he's still growing, but he cannot differentiate between what's his and what's not. So like he has a lot of toys. But for example, from the Disney store recently, they now sell Hocus Pocus plushes of the witches and the cat and Binks.
Yeah. Nice.
So I got them all. They were all lined up on like the top of my couch.
Yeah.
And he sits on the couch with me. So I'm at my desk, and I see him sit on the couch, and I see him chewing on Winifred. I'm like, no. So I grab Winifred and put her up on my display case over there out of his reach. He sits back on the couch and looks at me, and then he climbs up, grabs Sarah, and starts chewing on her. I'm like, no. Yeah. And I grab her, put him on the display case, does the same with Mary, and then does the same with Binks. And I'm like,
I'll be honest with you, you're going to be dealing with that at pretty much every age level. Dogs love plushes. Like, especially if they feel like they need, like if they're not getting attention at the time, that's when you'll notice it. So if you were to leave one on the couch while you're just sitting beside them, they won't even touch it. But if you're doing something and they feel like lonely or bored, that's when you're going to run into those things. So I think at most ages, you'll have to put that stuff up unless you really, really, really train it. You know what I mean? So I had to train my bulldog like that. I had to like severely train her, because bulldogs are hard-headed. They can appear aggressive when they're not. So she would love to like chew on people's feet. And then when you try to get her off the feet, she would play, and she would jump up and try to grab at your hand with her teeth. It's not aggressiveness. It's rough play. So I had to really train her hard. So with plushes, and even if I had a hat on the couch, she would go after the hat.
Oh,
so
wow.
then it was one of those situations where, Pardon?
This dog loves water, man. I'll get out of the shower
Yeah.
and sit down on the couch in my pajamas, my hair's still wet, and this dog will freaking assault me. He'll like jump on my back and just start licking my hair. And I'm
It's
like,
all the
dude, I
new
just got a shower.
It's the texture and the smells that they like. So
Yeah.
my bulldog hates the bath. I can say bath and she will just run to the room, and because I have like a little couch, it's a mini dog couch in our room that she sleeps on, and I'll poke my head out to see, like after I've said bath, when she has to go, and she'll be there and she'll look, and then she'll duck her head and she'll try to like sink into the couch like she's trying to disappear. So yeah, she does not like water. But
I have a question. Do you guys get gifts for your dogs? Your
I do,
pets?
yeah. We have,
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
stockings.
Yeah.
We have stockings for them. So
Yeah, so do we. Yeah.
Me
and
too.
almost every year the collar that they have will be kind of worn, because I have 3 dogs, so sometimes when they're playing they'll grab on each other's collars, so they'll normally get like a collar every year, some treats, some toys, and then they're pretty much destroyed by January 1st. So
All right, so I had a topic list, right? Hey, CJ,
Yeah.
question. Christmas in Canada in general. How is it over there?
it's pretty much the same as the States, man. We just get a lot more snow than some states, I would say, but I would almost say Christmas might be even a bigger thing in the States, because I don't know, there's a lot of religious people there, but here, like, I don't know, I think it's the same, really. Like, I know Thanksgiving is not a big deal here compared to what it is in the States. It rivals Christmas in some circles. So it's really the same here, man. Like, I don't know what's different.
I'll jump in with Newfoundland Christmas. They have the mummering, which the States don't have, except in Philly.
What is that?
Mummering, that's where you dress up in unrecognizable costumes, like pillowcases and bras and overlarge clothes and stuff, and go door to door, and you basically like dance and change your voice and everything, and the person has to guess who you are, and if they don't, they have to give you whiskey and a bunch of booze.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing this from my stepdad. It does sound like something that Newfoundland
would be in a horror movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody was murdered that way in the late 1800s.
Oh my god.
So,
other than that, man, like, I mean, there probably is some things that I don't know about. Like, I was originally from Montreal, and then we moved just north of Toronto, so I haven't really seen many things, but we're like everyone else. Like, they go to midnight mass. Like, I used to go to midnight mass with my friends.
I love midnight mass now.
Oh, me too. I was a big fan of it. Like everybody knows,
I think it's just so beautiful. I love midnight mass for Christmas and for Easter.
Yeah,
I've never been
the vigil. Yeah,
really. I'm not religious, but my friend's mom, I was really close with them, and she'd always say, "Come to midnight mass with us," and I would, and I went once, and I was like, I really like this. So
even non-religious people can like appreciate Christmas mass because of the story and the music and everything. Like that's the stuff everyone knows, whether you're religious or not. So you can take more enjoyment in it, I guess, if you're not religious.
That's the one thing I get. Like, I'm not super religious, but I'm not like an atheist. I believe there's something. It's just, I think people are allowed to have a complicated relationship with God, or who they think is God, based on things that have happened in their life. So I'm free to say, like, you can believe that, but like, I went through some things, so I'm just in a complicated spot right now. I'm not an atheist, but if you love Christmas, you gotta love the stories, and I think they're beautiful, and the music is great, like especially like the religious ballads, and I've always been a big fan of that. And I always get that big question, like my family and other people, like, you love Christmas, but you're not religious. I'm like, you don't have to be religious to love Christmas, and you can always respect the different variables that go into it, right? So that's one thing I want to make people understand. But talking about religion,
I mean, especially if you put on TV nowadays,
sometimes. Pardon?
Especially if you put on TV nowadays, like, a lot of channels are not putting any religious Christmas content on, all the
which I don't
stuff.
like, though. Like, I'm not religious, but I feel like it should be on television. Like, it's
right. No, I agree, but I'm saying, like, that just proves your point.
Yeah,
that just proves your point that, like, you don't have to be religious to be into the holiday now.
Exactly. Like, but I still think, like, you have a choice whether to watch that stuff. So I don't feel like it should be pulled from television. But we're veering off in like a touchy subject. So, but this is coming from a non-religious person. I do feel like if you don't want to see these things, you just ignore them. And I think that's a problem in the world right now, where everybody's just trying to stop everything. And no, we can't have this, we can't have that. Like, let's just have things And then if you don't like it, avoid it. It's not that hard.
I agree.
That's where this.
I know what you believe in, CJ. You believe in the Illuminati because you have that eyeball staring at me on your hat this whole
That's
time.
that's the Joker.
Oh, it is. There you go.
That's a Joker hat right there.
Bring it back to Batman.
Oh, I got a
It
Batman
always,
ready.
it always goes back to Batman. Six
Which,
degrees of
by the way,
separation.
it was Christmas of '89, and I actually did get the Batwing, the toy.
Oh man,
That was cool.
you know,
commercials I still remember, and I was
As-
young.
as corny as that scene is in the movie, even now at 32 years old, I still love when the Batwing shoots through the clouds and
Moon.
goes up against the
Yep.
full moon and creates a
Mhm.
signal. Yeah, I love that.
As a kid, I'd always watch those, and early on, I didn't get them. I started getting like stuff as I got a little older, but I just remember those would be out of the price bracket, so I'd always look at them and be like, "Oh, I need one of those," but I don't think I'm gonna get it.
And here's the funny part: if you get them now, they're still out of the price bracket.
I've already started, so I collect a lot of the old stuff. Like
That's
I got my
cool.
pizza thrower back. I got
Pizza
different
thrower. Nice.
different wrestlers like the LJN rubber style WWF.
Oh yeah, I
figures,
remember those. Yeah.
the Hasbro mini ones that it's actually on Netflix. The toy one,
The toys
toy
that made
show.
us.
Yes, that's
There's,
so
like,
awesome.
interesting stories. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they've kind of come to a boom now, so I stopped buying. Like I was getting them when they were cheaper, but now people are collecting, so it is what it is.
Growing up, I wanted Super Mario stuff, and now
Oh, yeah.
there's a whole variety. And when it was coming up again, all this merchandise, it was a
Yeah.
good pricing. But now to get a little Lego Mario, that's like $60 for something like. I'm like, whoa.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife, we got her it was like the Lego Nintendo where you it's like it's a TV, the Nintendo and the controller. Have you seen that?
Yeah, they put it together. It's like
I saw
$300
it.
bucks.
Looks
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it up in my kids like toy area. I guess it's more their media room now, but we have like a shelf up there, and it just looks so good up there. And
I'm analyzing if I'll buy that or not.
still have the Batmobile upstairs, the Lego Batmobile upstairs that we still need to do. And I'm not a big Lego guy, my wife is, but I just wanted to get done so I can display it.
Gerry, what about your neck of the woods? In Christmas in general, not you, but Christmas in general.
Well, I mean, so I'm from South Texas, so there's a lot of Mexican influence. I mean, it's still Tex-Mex, but I mean, we're like 95% Hispanic down there. So Las Posadas are very popular around that time as well, where they kind of reenact the the Holy Family going door to door, knocking on the inn, there's no room, and then that whole thing. So that's pretty big. I remember in Town Square they would have like a big Christmas show every year.
Town Square
Yeah, there was actually a Town Square. Yeah.
sounds like a ripoff of Times. I'm joking.
Anyway, but everything's better in Texas. No, so I just remember, yeah, there would be like the local choirs and high schools and musical acts would come, and there'd be shows and food and stuff like that. If you went to my parents' hometown, which is about an hour north, they'd usually have like a little Jamaica kind of thing, like a little carnival. And so there was a lot of that. I mean, it was, it's pretty standard Christmas stuff, but there was always a little bit of a Hispanic, kind of Mexican twist. So not just us, but everyone that I know always had tamales as well.
They're so good.
I'm telling you, so that was like a staple for Christmas. Of course, Christmas caroling was pretty rare. That was definitely mostly for us. But I know that there were always at the mall, just like around, it's up here too. I don't know if it's in your neck of the woods, but at the mall, there was always, someone performing, like either a choir or a band or all sorts of things. Tuba Christmas was also really popular. And when I was in high school, where it was for tubas and euphonium. So the low brass would go to like a concert and like they'd spend all the morning rehearsing, and then they'd have a concert where they'd just play a bunch of Christmas tunes. So that was always really fun. And then when I was a band director, I got to take several of the low brass to Tuba Christmas. So it was pretty cool. I got to meet Brian Bowman, which that as a euphonium, he's like one of the best in the world. So that was pretty rad. But other than that, I mean, it's always up here. I don't really know what it was because I lived in South Texas most of my life. So especially if we're talking 90s, once we start to get like up north, northern Texas, we'd have like Salado. They have a big downtown Christmas thing. Christmas parades, of course, are always standard fare. So I doubt that's really just a Texas bit, but pretty standard.
And well, Anthony, should I ask? Or you're gonna say anyways, because I think New York Christmas is the most iconic Christmas worldwide. And
I would agree with that. If anybody wants like a true dose of what New York Christmas is like, I think I've been doing a pretty damn good job of describing it in Another Christmas Story. If y'all have been listening to that,
Cheap plug.
I know Ron Hogan's wife commented, tagged me in one of her Instagram stories at one point saying, man, she has to get back to New York for Christmas because I've been doing such a good job describing it. But yeah, New York at Christmas, I mean, you turn on the movies, it's exactly like that. You have Macy's with the real Santa Claus. You have Rockefeller Center with the ice ring beneath the giant tree. You have FAO Schwartz. You have the Radio City Christmas Spectacular with the Rockettes with legs for days. You have Central Park in the snow. You have the Bryant Park. The Bryant Park Christmas Fair. Yeah, it's beautiful. There are so much
you're forgetting the biggest one.
What?
Being abandoned by your parents and chasing off burglars.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying. But I mean, it's just there is no place like it. There are times, me and Sarah, for example, want to move out of New York, but man, I would go home for Christmas every year if we do, because there's just no place I'd rather be for the holidays.
Let me argue your point. I think there's one place I'd like to go based on pictures and everything I've seen.
North Pole?
No, but it starts with an N. I'll give you one more guess.
Norway.
There you go. That's one.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are
visit.
Christmas villages and everything I'd love to visit, like beautiful, like small town villages, no doubt at all.
Lillehammer.
But Manny, I don't know. I can't say enough about New York at Christmas. There's a reason I wrote a Christmas themed book. That's not only a love letter to Christmas, it's a love letter to New York and a love letter to New York at Christmas. So check it out Thursdays in your main Tisda podcast feed.
Then I have to make a correction here. I was in Tisda podcast this year, episode 29.
Oh yeah, you did. You read a chapter, which I was up for 4 hours editing the night before. And I remember trolling you afterwards, damn it, Manny, the other Christmas podcast hosts edited their chapters before sending it to me.
Well, this one, for obvious reasons, today I have to do a little editing. I never do editing. I'm a very busy person, but I'm getting into the Christmas. Like I said, I'll probably read it again, send you, edit it and nice. But yeah, check out the story. I still laughed at how many times I had to read about that cat up in that tree. But yeah, you guys have to check it out to know what I'm talking about.
I mean, there were times your accent came through. I've never heard somebody pronounce Rudolph the way you pronounced it in that story.
I actually edited it myself, the one that I did, and it was the first time I ever did. So some of it probably came out choppy, but I was like, I'm gonna try. I was like almost killing. I was so mad at you for making me read when I was editing. I'm like, I freaking hate this. So and then the worst part was that was one of the weeks where my internet went out, and then I had to go somewhere else to actually send it to you because I live rural and I don't even barely get cell phone reception. So it was like, I'll never read.
Well, at least yours hasn't gone out tonight. Mine's gone out like 5 times. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We know this.
He'll just be talking. He's like, I really love crit.
I'm gonna
I still love that joke that from that one time when you and Joe were on my show, and my same thing had cut out, and then you were like, he had to go do another podcast.
Wait, who did that?
Mine. I think Joe said the joke, but it was while it was when our Scooby-Doo episode, and
you're right. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. That I remember thinking to myself after that one. Oh, Jerry's gonna have a hard time editing this one.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was funny actually.
It was. Joe's a good guy.
Yeah, I like Joe.
Which one's Joe?
Joe Martinez.
Joe Martinez. He's now the co-host of Now Watch This with a guy named Lucky from the Dork Dad podcast, and I've been trying to get him on for like months now, and we just keep.
Jerry's been cheating on the Christmas Podcast Network. He's part of.
I know he's inviting all these outsiders into our Discord. Like, what's
Hey,
going on
he
here?
just invited what's her name, and I love her. I can't wait to go up in a melee
Danielle?
against
She's
her.
awesome. She's good.
Danielle is
people.
awesome. Yeah.
I love Danielle. I love Charlene. Is that how you pronounce her name? Charlene.
Charlene. Yeah.
She's cool. I can't wait to judge with her. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, she's pretty rad.
Not to go on to the melee again, but the more I think about it, I told Todd, I think Kim is gonna like shiv us. She's gonna
I'm
like
telling
whip out
ya.
a knife and like.
I think she's definitely a dark horse, but
She was on my podcast, man. She could get saucy. So I think
Oh, I
she'll
know
be
she.
a
I know
real-
she can.
she'll be a
I
real
love her. I think she's so
Yeah.
nice.
she's
She's one of the
super cool,
nicest
yeah.
people too. I love her.
Yeah.
I really love her.
Just her wedding anniversary.
The
Yeah.
other day, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually asked her like one of her like favorite Christmas memories with her husband, and she told me this phenomenal story that I didn't even know. He proposed on Christmas Day.
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, well, I proposed at the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. And my wife is not a public or really affectionate person at all compared
Yeah.
to me. So I took out the ring and I was like, will you? Yes, just put it on my finger because she didn't want people looking.
Will you marry?
And then he ordered
Splat.
takeout.
Can your wife hear us right now or no?
I mean, we live in a 1-bedroom apartment, but she's
Yeah.
But you got
heavy
headphones
sleeper.
in. You got
Oh.
headphones in too.
Plus,
I was
plus I think she does too. So.
I was gonna shout out Newfoundland, the Newfoundland. Does she know that Newfoundland was discovered by an Italian?
I have no clue. I didn't even know that.
Really? His name was John Cabot, but
He was Italian?
his name was actually Giovanni Capito.
You know what? And now, look at people whitewashing the Italians' history like that.
But he did it himself because he didn't want to be known as Italian because they were. I think that's how it went in the history books. But yeah, if you want to irritate someone from Newfoundland, tell them an Italian discovered.
Oh, I'm going to. I can't wait, especially because they do that.
Newfoundland.
I have not found one good Italian place on that province. Not one.
Where in Newfoundland? I'm not surprised.
They have a cheap little like it's called Mario's Pizzeria or something, and it claims to be a restaurant. It looks like the Denny's of Italian restaurants. I'm like, I'm not eating here. Oh, and I remember once we
Poor
went to go
Denny's.
visit her. We went to go visit her brother with her parents, and the mother and my mother-in-law was like, "Okay, let's order pizza. Let's go get some Boston pizza." And I think she saw my face, and Sarah was like, "Mom, you can't like say that in front of Anthony. He's from New York. Like he knows what good pizza is."
You guys
He
have
knows
Boston.
from
No, you
pizza.
guys don't have Boston pizza in the States.
We have Boston pizza.
Oh, I don't know then. Yeah, we have Boston pizza here. It's not that great pizza. Like it's no. But yeah, Manny, this is your podcast. So
Yeah.
lead us.
So
Oh no,
let's
but
let's keep
but this-
going.
but this is my podcast. You know, it's sharing all this. You know, we're 4 different crazy people here just sharing our Christmas. I mean, I've said enough. I've been talking about Christmas in Puerto Rico since
I love
last
putting
year.
you on the spot, Manny. You just over
No,
yourself.
I've been talking about Christmas in Puerto Rico since
Yeah.
I sent that recording to Tissa podcast. So, all right, so we did the 80s, we did the 90s. So let's just go from year 2000 till now.
Okay.
20 years. 20
This
years.
is the pod that never ends. Yes, it goes
And it
on.
goes on and on, my friend.
We just started doing it, not knowing what it was, but we'll continue.
continue
Love
talking
Santa
about
Clauses.
No, I mean, yeah, it's 20 years. I feel like 2000 was the other day, and then I'm like, oh, we're going into 20.
I know. I can't believe it's 20 years since 9/11 already.
Yeah.
Like 20 years. That's
We are
unbelievable.
as
I'm old,
close
man.
to 2052 as we are 1992, if you can believe that.
Ew.
Yeah.
And I feel old.
No, I am old. Like
Wah, wah.
You
My wife
guys
is looking
are
at-
old. You guys are old.
What do
And
you
I mean
mean?
that in the
4
best way
years younger than
possible.
us.
Because
look
now
younger than
now
you.
I like
Hey,
to
respect your elders. No, I'm just kidding.
now I like to joke. I like to make age jokes with you now, but the final joke is going to be on me because you guys are all going to be living the retired life before me while I'm still working, and that's how I'm going to be like,
dude, I
damn
don't
it,
have-
I'm too young.
I don't have any imagination of thinking I live past 50. Like if I pass 50, I'm on borrowed time and I'll be happy. Let me just see my kids get married and maybe one grandkid and I'm good to go. I don't
hear
live the
ya.
healthiest of lifestyles. I like my food. I like it very much. It's a pretty.
CJ, I find that offensive. You sound like a Johnny Macaroni.
It's actually a real Italian guy. You're more used to New York. They say how they say, "Oh, forget about it."
I find that offensive as an Italian person and a New Yorker.
Forget about it. Where's Tony Soprano? Which is a great show. By the way.
He's from New Jersey. Don't you ever mix up New York and New Jersey on my book.
Ted
Oh,
Mosby
this
taught
is
me
going to
that.
turn into How I Met Your Mother.
It's New York, not Secaucus, Secaucus.
That's my favorite part of The Sopranos when
I love How I Met Your Mother. It's ridiculous.
in the Sopranos they always get like involved with New Jersey, like because they're the Jersey mob, and then in New York they're always like Jersey, that pig meat thing over in Jersey, like they don't even give a crap about them.
Jerry, I'm penciling you in now for the How I Met Your Mother Christmas episode.
Oh,
when we do
man, I
those.
love-
How I Met Your Mother is a good show,
Although
but
I didn't
honest to
say
God, it's
Grinch.
such lazy writing. I'm sorry, it's lazy writing.
I find it hard to rewatch.
Yeah.
now.
It's hard to rewatch
Yeah.
because they always do these things where they just create these memories inside of a show to make that show make sense. It's like, oh yeah, where's the poop Robin? And it's like, this has never been brought up before, but it's being brought up now. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I just thought it was lazily written. Everything
CJ,
else, like, oh, you're
it taught
doing
you
the-
it taught you a very valuable lesson, though.
Two beavers are better than one.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Has that guy Ted Mosby, the actor, been in anything else but that? I've never seen.
Yeah,
it.
he's been in,
he
like,
was
a
in
lot
movie
of-
with Elizabeth Olsen that was really good.
He's in a lot of indie movies. He's never
Yeah.
really in any big budget.
Elizabeth
stuff.
Olsen, Mwah. Beautiful lady.
She is.
Yeah.
I was so upset that they
Did
didn't
you
give
see
her
Old
the
Boy?
comic book Scarlet Witch costume.
We're supposed to be in the 2000s discussing Christmas, and we just veered off into.
Well, How Much Your Mother was in the 2000s.
Yeah. So, so
And
Manny,
they have
here are
Christmas
my
episode.
my 2000 Christmas memories. So every year I will rewatch the Office Christmas episodes. I will leading up to Christmas, I'll always watch the Friends Thanksgiving episodes. I'll always watch Festivus on the 23rd. I know, CJ, you don't like Festivus. You don't like Seinfeld.
This is actually a really good episode. Come
I
on,
got a lot of problems with you people.
anything
I
with
got
Jerry
a-
Stiller. Come on, he's
It's a
fantastic.
Festivus miracle.
He was my favorite in King of Queens. Hello, Douglas.
Jerry Stiller is like, yeah, Douglas. Yeah.
Hey, you demented old Vegas monkey.
Say you want a piece of me?
when Kramer's like, I gotta go to work. Frank, I gotta be honest with you. This holiday of yours, it's a little out there.
when Kramer pulls the stop short or whatever. He
Oh
calls
yeah,
it.
yeah. He stopped short. That's my move.
I invented
Okay.
it.
You'd want to hit on my wife, ass man.
There was some good stuff in that show. But
So I think the thing I remember most about Christmas in the 2000s, there's a couple, but I was a band director for a while there, and so I remember having to prepare for Christmas concerts and then putting them on, and that was always really cool. And just it was fun, lighthearted, it was great. But also I remember in like 2006, it actually snowed in the Rio Grande Valley, which it hadn't done in like decades, or it might have
Climate
even been
change,
like a
man.
century. So it was, what'd you say?
I said climate change, man, is a real issue.
Global warming, dude. But I mean, like I remember like I had to drive from church to on Christmas Eve from church to my parents' house, and I was like scared out of my mind because it was this. I mean, it was like nothing, but to us Texans who don't, in South Texas who don't get snow, that was like a big deal. So it was like, okay, going really slow, look at and having snowball fights. I mean, it was fun. And then in the 2010s, I guess, mostly kids, and so it was magical again. Those are like,
yeah, so in serious, Christmas in the 2000s, obviously, again, not to bring an age thing, well, but Gerry kind of described his teenage years in the 90s. I'll describe mine in the 2000s. Unlike him, though, I always kept that excitement. I've always been an early bird and a night owl, so like I still now wake Sarah up at 5:30 in the morning with no kids to open gifts, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" But so that never lost it. I mean, I guess the things that stand out to me in the 2000s, especially the closer we get to 2020, I'd say between 2010 and 2020, the sad thing about Christmases in the 2000s is that's when we started losing a lot of older relatives. So like my grandfather, great aunts and uncles. So Christmas has always kind of gotten smaller and smaller with each year, which is sad.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have that chaotic nature it used to. And you know, some of my cousins have started having kids, but it's not like as many as were kids when we were growing up. So it's just like a very different vibe nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the time with family and everything. Like obviously it's not about the gifts, right? But it's just you know, you always
Yes, it is.
it's like the
depends on who you're
empty
with.
it's the empty seats at the empty tables. That's what sticks out to me at around Christmas nowadays.
Yeah.
So CJ got bounced back from that and bring some joy back to the podcast.
I'm eating a Twizzler right now, so
So Manny,
please tell me it's a traditionally red Twizzler, not one of the black ones. Thank you.
I do love black licorice style. I do love black licorice and stuff like that.
Why does that not surprise me?
I'm gonna go into my Christmas, you know, in the 2000s, because I never really thought about it until I was, you know, writing the notes, and they're awkward because it was the last 3 years of high school for me. Which no, I mean, no, this Christmas wise, you know, I mean, I think it's the tightest group of friends I've ever made because I still keep in touch with them till this day. Like I said, I moved a lot, but I was able to start and finish high school in one same school, and in Puerto Rico's, you know, really cool. I mean, as long as you know how to, you know, play one of the Puerto Rican musical instruments, you know, during Christmas, or learn the songs, you're just doing that the whole freaking day. You know, in the you're taking a class and somebody just feels like starts singing, you know, Puerto Rican Christmas music, and well, the teacher, you know, he could either let it happen or we're all in trouble. So, you know, and after the, I think 11th and 12th grade, they just gave up on us. And they just give up on us because I mean they're trying to, you know, lecture us and say, come on, man, we're not gonna remember this crap. We're like 2-3 days before, you know, Christmas vacation, so you know, just let it happen, just let it be. So I think by the 12th grade, at the end of November, we already had the finals for, you know, the semester, just because the rest of that, it was just a waste of time. We really didn't care. We just went completely into Christmas. You know, there was the same thing as the 90s and, you know, the late 80s. I remember just going to family and everything. But it changed. Like as I went growing up, then I moved to the States, and all my Christmases were weird, but always had something special to them. Because I had Christmas with family. Then there were times that, you know, when you're in college or you just recently graduated college, you don't have, you know, plane ticket money. So I was in Miami, and I had Dominican Christmas, which it's very similar to Puerto Rico. I didn't know the songs. I do remember the food. It was freaking awesome. I had Miami Christmas, which they were awkward, you know, comparing now because there's no snow or cold or anything. Like there was one Christmas day that we were at Hollywood Beach, you know, in the beach. It was what, 80 something, 90 degrees. So it was weird. Just like Puerto Rico, you could go on Christmas, but I thought being in the mainland, you could get that Christmassy feeling, but no. And then, I don't know, they were awkward. And now, since I've been with my wife, we've been building tradition, you know. When we have kids, we'll, you know, keep on, you know, having new traditions with them. And like I said before, the world's going so freaking crazy now. It's, you know, spinning around so quick that we might as well, you know, just grasp this and make the best we can. And like last year, you know, everybody knows what happened to me last year, but the best part was that actually did snow on Christmas. Like I wanted a white Christmas. We had like, you know, half an ounce of snow. But it snowed on Christmas. That's not something that usually happens.
Dude, climate change is a real threat.
I just thought it was a snow miser losing a bet. Or he
Did you ever feel Heat Miser totally got the wrong end of raw end of that deal? Because she says you get 1 day of heat in the North Pole. The Snow Miser gets to make it snow for like a week down in Southtown. I would have been pissed if I was Heat Miser too.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, it's the North Pole. And
Oh no, I totally get it.
Like it's much more. It's worth much more than Southtown.
I could tell my 2000 stories now.
Okay.
I don't like, they kind of flew by. Like I remember, but a year 2000 was a big deal. Y2K.
Oh yeah.
I
forgot about that.
It was 2001. Christmas of 2001. I got my first computer. I wasn't allowed to put it in my room, but it was around that time everybody was getting computers, and I got like DSL internet, and I thought like I was the coolest thing in the world. So that Christmas. And then like it kind of slowed down a bit because then I was going into my later teens and you didn't get much, and Christmas kind of didn't feel like much. And then I moved out on my own, and just there was a few Christmases I wouldn't even put stuff up because you kind of hit that rut where you're living by yourself, your paycheck to, and then what's around 2000, 2008, I meet my wife and I have kids in 2011. I'm just kind of going through it. 2011 is where it really ramped up for me. There was some depressing Christmases then where you kind of wake up and, there's just not that, you don't have that feeling of Christmas, just another day. And that's kind of like the worst feeling you can have on Christmas, where you feel like it's just another day. So there are times I do wake up on Christmas now and I'll reflect, and I'll always look back and hope that anybody who's having a Christmas like I had then, where you're waking up with nobody and nothing, you're just by yourself. Like, I just hope that they have some kind of happiness they can look forward to, not to get depressing, but you appreciate the good moments when you've been through really bad moments. So I always do think about the people that aren't in good settings right now. And I wish I could talk to all of them and tell them that it'll get better. You just got to wait. But after that, like when I had kids, it really reinvigorated Christmas for me. It really brought it back. I remember just like Christmas night after everything was settled, the first Christmas I had with the girls, I wasn't wailing, crying, but I was deeply crying in the living room on the couch, just having all the memories coming back from when I was a kid. And I was just so, when you just have those reflective moments where you actually feel so blessed. And I just felt so blessed to have this feeling in my heart again. And I remember I made a really heartfelt post on Facebook about just cherish the family you have, because you don't know when they're going to be back. Like Anthony said, there's people missing at the table, and it's hard not to think about them. So I remember this heartfelt post I made, and the next year, little did I know that we would lose the rock of my family in 2012, my grandmother. So she got to spend a year with my daughters, because my girls are twins. And so 2012 was hard. Like anybody who's been through it, like if they've lost someone like a grandparent or like a parent, it's hard, man. Like the first thing, like, you show up to dinner and you're supposed to be happy, but everybody has that weighing thought when someone's the rock. I remember my grandma would always wear this red Christmas shirt, like for 5 years, and my mom wore it. And then we all just kind of broke down, and like, that was sad. But then you build on Christmases after. You still have the kids. And from 2013 to now, like it's been, I can't complain, man. It's my love of Christmas has been rejuvenized, I guess. Is that the word? But I don't know. Sometimes I run away with my words because there's so much thoughts in my mind, and like sometimes I have this issue with putting it into words that are like meaningful. But if I could sum it up into one word, it's like grateful, blessed, and just like happy. Like Christmases aren't always going to be perfect, and you'll be sad when they're over. But since having kids and knowing where I've been, and now that I'm able to provide them with everything I didn't have, like gifts, love, caring, hugs, because we didn't get hugs, but hugs, kisses, and letting them know they're very important to me, as long as all these traditions. So I can instill these traditions in my kids' mind, and they will not experience what I experienced in the past, and they can pass that on if they decide to have children, or whoever their partners are, pass it on along with them. And there's only one rule that Daddy has: do not sell my Hallmark ornaments. I will haunt the shit out of you. But the 2000s, like, they started off a little dreary, but you know what? I can't complain, man. I live a good life, and I have 2 awesome girls and a wife who tolerates me. So the 2000s have been good, man. They've been good.
I do want to tell a quick story because you mentioned you got your first computer in what, 2001, 2002?
Yeah, I was in grade 10. It was a little late, but again, we didn't have a lot of money. So we weren't Anthony Caruso rich.
Well, I was in grade 7. I got it the first year.
Yeah, I'm not
2001.
shocked.
And so funny story about how young Anthony's mind worked, right? Because they let me have it in my room.
Your room? Oh my god.
With no parental locks on it.
Where did you hide the Vaseline and the wet
Well,
wipes?
no, of course I was of course, like I knew that it was forbidden to go to certain sites. However, this was teenage Anthony's logic. I was able to watch rated R movies. So if I found screen caps or video clips from rated R films on the internet, that was my way around going to like certain adult websites.
This is a fantastic Christmas story.
So
So as soon as Santa left,
so I had
Santa left Christmas night. Anthony got busy.
So I had
He was looking at ho ho hos.
so I had a whole folder on my laptop of
Oh my god! Why were you getting into pornographic material?
oh, just listen, of like rated R screen caps, video clips, and I thought to myself
over there.
I thought
Oh
to
my
myself
gosh.
at the time, I am so freaking clever. Needless to say, looking back on it now, I don't think my parents would have been as impressed or understanding of that loophole had they actually gone on the computer and found that.
Oh.
But I was such a good kid that it never even crossed their minds that.
You sound like
That
you
you were a
love getting
perv.
one over on people. This makes me wonder about you.
I know.
If what?
I said this makes it seem like you love getting one over on people, so it makes me wonder about you.
No, it was just I'm impressed with my 12, 13-year-old self.
So he tells us he wants to tell a story. I think it's going to be some nice Christmas story.
I know, that's what I was expecting too.
And he's like, "Yeah, I have these.
I was
freaking weird
piggybacking on-
offers that could rival a Criminal Minds episode." Oh my god, this podcast has it all so far. This is gonna be your longest podcast so far, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a 2-part episode, but I'm just gonna make it a 3-part episode, and it's really worth hearing. So, if you know that movie Being John Malkovich, right?
Yeah.
Well, this whole episode, it's that's how my brain works. Like I'm thinking about something, and then I go woo, completely far off subject with it, and then somehow I come back, and I mean, you guys have witnessed this before too. Like I'm talking about something, and then this whole Christmas podcast that we've talked about everything Christmas, non-Christmas. What Anthony just said. That's how my brain. That's how my brain
That was
works
a
the whole day.
very relatable story.
FC
got
on
the
the
laptop
There
for
will
laptop.
be
Christmas.
people laughing, but like Jerry's just sitting there shaking his head. While you're
Oh
telling
no!
him.
Look,
Like-
he came back dry. He went and put the towel. He was sweating. He was like, "Oh." I don't know if he was sweating because oh my god, Anthony, or you got a similar
No.
story. I don't know. We
No,
can save that for a
my-
Patreon.
My good friend Gerry, he was sweating. My good Christian friend, he just does not like hearing. The man of woe.
Gerry loves me really.
I
I
think
love all
Jerry
you
loves
guys.
us
You
all
guys,
in a certain
yeah,
way.
you guys are my best buds.
Yeah. I literally tell Jerry that I love him every other day, I think. I let him know
Oh.
he's appreciated.
Now, you know what? And I think this is a nice like pin to kind of put on this part of the conversation. We're recording this on 9/11. Bunch of people obviously lost their lives that day, not knowing they would lose their lives, and went to bed the night before without, probably there are a bunch who didn't say final love yous or give final hugs to their family. So that's why, if you love someone, you
gotta
should tell them. You
Yeah.
did. And I will say now, I do love all three of you. So
Back at you.
Ew.
I love
No.
you guys. Yes.
I love you too, man. I love
Yeah.
all you guys. You
I
guys
love
are
all you guys as well. Yeah.
Man,
meeting you guys has been like a breath of fresh air in my life for sure. Like I know I'm not always the easiest one to get along with, but I do like to let people know that they're appreciated. I love all of you, even you, Manny. Even though
Even
love-
you, Manny.
I love to go after you sometimes, but no, you got a good heart, man. I like you guys very much, and I hope that none of us die soon. I always have to, when I say something nice, it's like this defense mechanism built inside me where I have to end it with something crass. I'm like, I got to even it, man.
Oh, goodness.
So, Manny, where to now? Are we done, or is there one last thing you want to do?
I don't know. Is there like no?
I was about to say. I think we ended that on the perfect note with the whole.
That's
just cut out the die part.
I'm not cutting that out. Like I said, I don't like to edit. I'm just gonna cut out the parts where Gerry went to space. He got beamed out and back.
Yeah.
But other than that, in this part right now.
I gotta make my obligatory appearances on other pods.
What are you doing, Anthony?
I don't know.
Looks like he's trying to put his phone in his ear.
Oh, he got one of those messages. All right, guys. If now it's plug your podcast time, Anthony,
Sure,
Gerry, CJ, and that in no specific order.
I'll go
order in this order.
No,
I'll go first.
I was thinking too.
I'll go first. I am one of 3 hosts of Tis the Podcast, a podcast determined to keep the Christmas spirit alive 365 days per year. Together with my co-host Tom and Julia, we cover Christmas movies, television specials, and episodes, etc., and rank them all on a scale of 1 to 10. New episodes drop every Monday, so check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. And because this is the first multilingual podcast, soy uno de los tres presentadores de la Tiza Podcast, el podcast decidió a mantener vivo el espíritu 300 sensata y 5 días el año, junto con mis copresentadores Tom y Julia, con películas navideñas, especiales y episodios de televisión, etc. Y los clasificamos en una escala del 1 al 10. Los nuevos episodios aparecen todos los lunes, así que visítenos donde CQ SEOs podcasts.
What a gringo.
For real.
I'm French and I know that was some horrible Spanish.
On the screen, and Manny or I will read it.
A+ for effort, though.
Thank you.
Gerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but part of that, I thought he was invoking something.
Talking in tongues. I'll go next, I guess. I'm CJ. I'm part of I'm not part of, I am the Christmas Conversations podcast. It's an interview-based podcast where we discuss everything in between Christmas and sometimes a little more. Like I always say, I'm never going to tell you to like or subscribe. I'm never going to make a Patreon, and I'm never going to get merch. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't support my friends, because I do. And you can reach me at Instagram, Christmas.conversations. And on Facebook, Christmas Conversations, and on Twitter at Xmas Convo Pod. I don't really use Twitter, and I just promote through it, but sometimes I'll reply to stuff. So if you see something that offends you, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay, thank you.
Well, I am the host of the Totally Rad Christmas podcast, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s, toys, movies, specials, music, fads, whatever I normally say. Anything has to do with Christmas in the 80s, I'm down for it. So, it's always fun. I've had every single one of these guys on the show, and we always have a blast whenever they're on. So you should definitely check it out if you like this one. And if you were a kid in the 80s, I think you'd really love it. And even if you weren't, you might still love it too. So you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Totally Rad Christmas, on Twitter at Rad Christmas. And I have a webpage, but I haven't done anything with it. So don't go there yet.
Yes,
I am so insulted. You usually let me say that. But fine.
I just want to let everybody know I will be having Kim from Planning for Christmas podcast on for September, and October, none other than Anthony Caruso, mia paisano. How are you, my friend? We're gonna have you on. We're gonna have a great time. Okay.
Nice.
I can't wait. And I would just like to let people know that Gerry and CJ along with Kendall and Michelle, just joined Tis a Podcast for a Patreon episode where we live watched Hocus Pocus. And it was the first time Gerry had ever seen it.
Yep.
In addition, CJ is doing a Paranormal Activity Patreon episode with me soon, which will drop mid-September. And you'll hear Gerry on a Rob Zombie Halloween episode dropping in October. And that's a fun one because if you're all used to Todd Killian from Christmas Clatter as the most cheery dude ever. And if you want to hear all the life drained out of him, hear him talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween.
It really was. Yeah. It was I think Michael was there too, right? It was
Michael Crystalman,
Saturday Morning Mafia,
king of the dad puns and
the
dad
fabled
memes.
Saturday Morning Mafia was on.
King of the memes.
King of the memes.
Yes, he is.
It's so funny. There are two people I know on Facebook, him and my friend from real life, Justin. And I always want to say to both of them, man, like, is this your full-time job?
Yeah. He has a whole bunch that he usually posts like right in the morning.
Not just the morning, like throughout the whole day. And I'm like, and I'm glad because they make me laugh during work when I want to like strangle somebody in order to take out.
You should see some of the ones he posts in the to Todd and I. He's like, I'd never post this on my main feed, but
and I love the goodbye. See, we're trying to leave, everybody. We're trying to leave because this is not gonna get edited out. So this could make a 4th episode. Just goodbyes from.
We're Hispanic, dude. It takes us like an hour to actually say goodbye.
Yeah. Plus the Italians, like you say goodbye and then an hour and a half later.
No, this is how it goes.
That's
how
right.
Italians
You get
say
up,
goodbye.
you're like bye. Then you start talking. You sit back down.
Yeah.
They'll be at the table. No, first they'll be at the couch. They'll start saying bye. Then you go to the kitchen. You keep saying bye. Then you grab one more drink to say goodbye. You go to the front door. You say goodbye, and then you say goodbye outside by the cars. And that's it.
Then you're out by the cars, like seeing somebody who's like smoking or just getting fresh air.
This is a 2-hour process.
So when you're Hispanic, you're at the front door, and then you want to take anything with you, so you go back to the kitchen.
You go back to the kitchen,
and then
I was gonna take a plate. You take a plate,
and then God forbid you miss anyone, like because they were in the bathroom or something. You gotta
go back and say,
What, they didn't say goodbye?
Go through that.
Speaking of which, Gerry, that reminds me of a great Seinfeld episode too. Remember when they saw Frank Costanza in the city with a cape on?
Oh, the cape, yeah.
The cape. Hey, Dad, Elaine and Gerry saw you in the city the other day with a man in a cape. What? And they didn't say hello? They thought you were busy. You still say hello.
Yep. He was his lawyer, wasn't it? I don't remember.
Divorce of Larry David. Yeah, it was his divorce lawyer. I'm out there, Georgie. No, you're not out there. I am too. You're not, because I am out there. And if I see you out here,
Anthony, you're definitely Costanza.
I love it. It was so funny.
Favorites.
I think you said
Gerry
5 times.
Gerry.
I'd just be Gerry, yeah.
You would be. You'd be sitting there. I'd be ranting to you. That's a shame.
Can I be Gerry Stiller?
Bite. Yeah, you can be Gerry Stiller.
Gerry, but seriously, when we did the Festivus episode last year, I think you said like 3 times during that show, like, Anthony, you sounded just like George.
Because you did. You said it. You sounded exactly like him. It was so much fun. I was like, okay, this is great.
George is getting upset.
Oh,
George
man.
Costanza.
He's so good.
And with that, I will end this like George always does when he wants to leave on a high note. Thank you. You've been great.
That's it for me.
That's it for me.
So, Manny, do you want me to close this for you? Because
yes, sir.
You're having a problem doing it. Okay.
It's like I want to go, but I don't want to go.
Well, we always talk.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you for coming to the Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad podcast.
No.
Until next time, for Gerry, for Anthony, and for Manny and CJ, we're saying goodbye. Sayonara.
No, you have to do your impression of Manny to close it out.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I just want everyone to know that I'm very thankful that you came on my podcast. And till next time, thank you for listening to the multilingual, bilingual, trilingual, bilingual podcast. Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad. Arrivederci.
Hello again, everyone. Don't forget, if you want to keep in touch with us and keep up with everything that's going on Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad podcast, you could find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at FCMN Podcast. FCMN Podcast. Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad.